Hello friends, welcome back to our little coffee club. Today we're gonna review one of the Good Brother coffees that I just received. I had told you guys that I was gonna order some Say, and I did, but the Good Brothers coffee came a little bit faster. All the coffees that I ordered this time, I try to get them all Ethiopians. I think one of these coffees is not Ethiopian. One is not. The two that are coming from Say, they're both Ethiopians. I try to get clean coffees. Basically just to kind of take a look to see if there's a big difference between different Ethiopian coffees. I imagine that there is, but let's just, I think it would be fun to just compare all these Ethiopians, see if there's something to gain by one or the other, or basically they're just all about the same. I try to get them all clean coffees, no shenanigans, no fermentations, no co-ferments, none of that stuff. So we'll see when I receive the Say ones. I'll open them with you guys as I usually do. Today we'll open one of these two. Maybe I'm not gonna read them, so I'll just grab one of the bags. If it's the Ethiopian, then so be it. If not, we'll try the other one. Regardless, all of them are African coffees, so we'll see what there is in store for us. Today is Sunday, but for me it was just this past Friday, so a couple days ago, that you guys know recently I posted 3 Friday videos, consecutive Friday videos. So for me, the very first one of those Friday videos just got posted. And I know that by now for you guys, it's been weeks since those videos were posted. But like Wojtek says, I'm traveling in time. But since we just had some conversation below the comments on that video, I want to answer some questions that came up and some very interesting things that perhaps maybe I had never even really thought about it, but we had a lot of commentary happening below that video. Most of the comments was with Ollie. I'll put his YouTube handle here so that we know exactly who it is. I'm trying to answer a lot of these questions too. I also think that this video might get a bit long, and I might have to split it up. This could be a long conversation, but Ollie had a lot of interesting thoughts as to what was going on the video, and it just in general. So I want to address some of those, but it's just too much to try to answer below in the comments. So it deserves a deep dive, and we're gonna talk as to some of those thoughts or questions that he had in regards. So today we'll talk about some of that. We'll try the coffee. Also, I really need to open a light roast because for the last few days, I haven't had a light roast to drink in the mornings. You guys know that that's what I prefer for my pour overs, and that's what I make every single morning. So I really want to open one of these bags and make some coffee. So I think maybe we'll just start with that. Let's take it to the other counter. Of course, we're gonna guess at the tasting notes and all of that stuff. So let's take it over to the other counter, make a quick pour over, and then I think mainly what I want to accomplish on today's video is answering some of those, getting into some of those thoughts that myself and Ali were having in the conversations. And yeah, let's see if we can, I took notes and everything because obviously that was already like a couple days ago. So for it to be fresh in my mind, I have to write things down. And I've mentioned already a couple of times that I want to talk about shower screens, and this has not exactly to do with shower screens, but in a way it does, and I'll explain in a little bit. But let's make some coffee. Maybe after I make some coffee, I warm up here, and then we can tackle all these subjects. So let's take it over to the other counter. All right, so in regards to, Say, something that I forgot to mention, I think I forgot to mention, but in regards to Say, I have a feeling the Ethiopian from Good Brothers is gonna be just as good, at least in the eyes of an average consumer, and for the kind of roast profiles that I prefer. I know Good Brothers, when they do a light roast, it's more like medium to light. It's still a little bit more developed than I think Say will be. I could be totally wrong. I've never had say, so we'll see. But now as far as how much of a good deal it is, I think the Good Brothers coffee is just gonna end up being a better deal due to the fact that here you're getting 12 ounces, the say was 8 ounces, and roughly for the same price. So what is that, like 33% or whatever it is cheaper? Although you're paying for the bag about the same, about $24, something like that. When you take into account the fact that you're getting more coffee here, it just turns out to be cheaper, right? So a better deal. So let's just get the bag open. Again, I don't want to downplay say. I know that they have a huge following and people rave about it. So until I drink it and I tell you guys my honest opinion, again, from the eyes of an average consumer, I'm just some dude, we'll see. But that'll give you an idea whether you should be, paying more to for some of these roasters, right? There's also, you got to take into account what they're paying for the coffee. Some of them really go the extra mile to help the farmers and things like that. So you got to weigh all of that out. You guys know that I really appreciate coffee culture. I really appreciate what these farmers and farms are trying to do. And, I love this whole thing, So therefore, the fact that sometimes I have to pay a little bit more to contribute a little bit more, I don't mind. Sometimes, for name brand products, you might pay a little bit more than what you can find, roughly exactly the same in Amazon. But I feel like sometimes when you're paying for the authentic products for these companies that are innovators, and they're the ones coming up with the ideas, they're the ones that make something popular, then at that point, it kind of makes a little bit of sense to pay a little bit extra for those products. At least that's just the way I feel. At the same time, if you can't do it, you just can't do it. Just get the Amazon one. Get whatever you can. Join us here, in the whole coffee culture, the whole coffee hobby, and get into it. And if you have to, do it a different way, then that's fine. We want you to be able to do it however it is that you can, So, all right, just a little rant as to that. But pricing, yeah, I think Good Brothers is a better deal, but until I try the Say one, which I still haven't received, that's another thing. The Good Brothers, I ordered them both at the same time, and the Good Brothers I already received. I've had it here for like 3 days or 4 days. The Say one, it says it's on its way, but I haven't received it. So all in all, maybe Good Brothers sometimes will take a little bit longer too. I don't know, but they do ship fast. They do have very high quality bags, which I love. And the pricing for the quality of product that you're receiving is top notch, Okay, let's get this thing open. Let's take a look at the roast level. I know I want to start with a pour over. We might do espresso as well. And like I said, we're gonna deep dive into a lot of things that this video could become quite lengthy. And if it does, I'll split it up some way and turn it into 2 videos or whatever happens here. We'll see. We'll see. Today, I didn't even know we were gonna have a brew session because, like I said, I woke up a little bit feeling a little bit off. But I drank that Advil and then now I feel a lot better. I had a headache. I didn't go to the gym, and I like starting my day with, going to the gym, and I missed on that. But who knows, maybe after all this caffeine, maybe I'll be ready and I'll go in the afternoon, which I usually don't do that, but who knows, we'll see. Okay, so, I couldn't avoid seeing that this is the Ethiopian coffee. So I know that much right now, but I don't know anything else about it. So let's take a look at the roast level. I know when I ordered it, I wanted it for pour overs, and I know I ordered something on the light side. So I'm expecting medium to light here, but let's see. Let's take a look at it, and then based on what we see, I'll choose a brewer. I still haven't picked one out, but let's see. Let's take a look at the roast level. Let me put some up here. Oh man, it's quite light. Okay, beautiful. Oh yeah. Okay, this is exactly what I was looking for. So let me turn on the lights and show it to you guys. Okay, there you guys could see the roast level. Okay, so definitely medium to light, and this is as light as I see Good Brothers roast anything. So I think I'm gonna be quite happy with this. Let me show you the grinder. We're gonna use the Duo, which I've been using for most of my pour over brews. Before, you guys know I always use the hand grinder, and I still do often, especially if for some reason my wife is still sleeping or something, I don't wanna make noise. So I will always use the hand grinder for that, and it does a great job. So you guys know me and grinders, I can't really taste the difference, so what does it matter, right? But you could see let me focus that, okay. You could see that I've been most of the time somewhere right in the middle of the dial at 35. That's the best case scenario, right? Although I'm gonna have to calibrate the grinder. Maybe I can show that to you guys now. Well, that's what I'm saying. Today's video is gonna get really long. But yeah, since I'm in the subject, let me show you guys. Okay, so I had to set up the tripod so I could do this. I need both of my hands here to kind of show you what I'm doing. But since we're on the subject, let's just try to, let me see if I can show you guys. So I know I'm gonna need to calibrate it because, look at this. Okay, you see the little red button? Okay, the little red button, if you have a niche, you know what that is. The little red button is what this little thing here, it actuates the little red button so that then the grinder would run. Okay, if that's not pressed in, okay, you can't run it, okay? It's like a safety feature, okay? We're gonna have to bypass that in order to show you guys what I wanna show you, but I'm gonna use a pencil to kind of press it down and cheat it and be able to run the grinder. So you'll see. Okay, so now that I explained that, turn it over to the other side. Okay, there you see the 0 point, okay? That's why I'm saying that 35 is right in the middle, right between 0 and 70. So if I cheat it now, okay, I'm pressing it there. Hopefully you guys could see well there, but okay, now I can run it and it's open. And now we can go to the 0 point. When you get to the 0 point, it's supposed to be touching. The burrs are supposed to touch, they're not. There they're touching. You hear that difference? Okay, hopefully you would able to hear that, but I have to go like 5 notches below 0 before they touch. With the brew burrs, that doesn't matter to me because I can go to 35, which is right in the middle. It's actually like best case scenario. And usually I'm grinding somewhere between like 30 and 50, somewhere in there, you're gonna get the best results. But when you use the espresso burrs, I was having to go below 0 to get an adequate grind size on some coffees. That is obviously, that's no bueno, because if you're below 0, there are no markings, and then you cannot, like, you can be accurate as to where you're setting the grinder. So you don't want that. So what I need to do is calibrate it so that when I go to 0, you hear it touching. Okay, so then that's as fine as you can go anyway. So, but by doing that, what would have been 0 before, then I would be like at 5, all the way over here. And what would have been below 0, I would be at 0. So that's what you need to do to calibrate. And that on the niche Duo, it's a little bit more intricate of a process and a little bit, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's a little different. Now to clean this grinder and to take it apart and switch out the burrs is the easiest grinder probably in the world. Okay, so if you're somebody that doesn't want to struggle whenever you have to clean your grinder, look no further than the niche Duo. Okay, there's nothing better. You know, for the niche 0 is very easy as well, but every time that you clean it, you have to calibrate it, which is very easy. On the 0, it's easy. And I know Wojtek, I'm gonna do that video for you and show you how I calibrate it. Although I know that my calibration is not going to relate to yours and my number is not gonna match your number, whatever it may be, because we're in a different part of the world with a whole different type of you know, weather and everything. So there's no way that my grind size is gonna correlate with yours. Besides that, you know that the niche 0, you kind of align by feel. So therefore, what I feel and what you feel, it could be different. And again, we'll have a difference. And even on the coffee we're using, even if we order the same coffee from bag to bag, it's gonna be a little bit different. So, but regardless, I'm gonna show you, I'll record a video one day, I'll take it apart, clean it, and we'll calibrate it. And we're also gonna do a video in regards to that on the Duo eventually when I have time. But at least now you guys see how you can check to see if your niche Duo came calibrated correctly from factory. I don't know why it's not touching when it gets to 0. It's supposed to be, but it doesn't matter. I mean, content, right? We'll do a video. So, all right, so that's enough of that. Let's go back to this. I'll take a picture of the beans, put it here, so sometimes on a picture you can see the roast level better and give you a better idea of how light of a roast this is. But let me set things up and then we'll continue with the pour over. Okay, let's continue with our pour over here. Okay, let's get the scale. We're gonna grind on the Duo. I'm just gonna grind at 35 and see how it goes with this coffee. Being this light of a roast, let me adjust the temperature on the kettle. I'm gonna take that to right off of boiling, 97. And you know what? Today, I think it's a good day for the steadfast. I wanna get like a really good extraction. Being this light of a roast, we'll do the steadfast and we'll shoot for around 4 minutes. We'll see if we can hit that. Dose out the 20 grams. So yeah, there's a lot on my mind due to all the commentary that happened last time with Ollie and all the questions I want to answer and get into. By the way, talking about Ollie, he's the one that told me, why don't I just turn off the timing out feature that comes from factory on the L'Elite Bianca. And by the way, I looked a little bit into that, and it turns out that in Europe, you have to, these kind of products, you have to ship them that way. They need to kind of like time out and turn off, okay? It's a thing. Here, I don't think it's a must that you have to do that. But, at the same time, they should have just used the LCC and set it to like 30 minutes or something, and then you could change it from there instead of having that tricky kind of thing to turn it off. But obviously, I did it correctly. You guys haven't noticed my machine timing out all the time anymore because it is set now for an hour, so we got more time. But it was Ollie that told me about that setting and turning it off and all that. To me, it didn't bother me every now and then to just get it going again. But yeah, now it's done. Okay, so we got everything in there. I have 14 grams. We're gonna do 20 as I usually do. Okay, I went over. Okay, 19.9, 20. All right. So yeah, I was dying to receive some light roast. I had been brewing in the morning some of the Dunkin' coffee, which I really like, but for some reason this bag just came a lot roastier tasting and darker than it normally does. I haven't bought another one since I got the one that I use for testing the 2 grinders. But I hope that they go back to the regular kind of thing, because this one I didn't enjoy as much as I usually do, and I couldn't wait to receive a light roast again. So now the scale is saying 20.2. I'm just gonna grind this. Let me see. Yeah, 20.2. Okay, whatever. We're gonna grind this. Oh, by the way, now that I mentioned the scale, somebody else in the comments. All right, hold on. Every now and then I pause to check the focus because I keep thinking like, did I lock it? Okay, and wow, it makes a big difference. But now that I'm on the subject of the scale and I was talking about this, I remember someone else left me a message on the video that they have the same scale and it has the same thing with that you don't touch it and it just turns off. But he says that his button is the other one, the one that does that. But he says his button does the same thing where you just hover over it and it shuts off. So and something's going on today. What is going on now? It says 20.4. Okay, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna put the beans into the other cup. We're gonna start this process over because what's going on here? Okay, hold on. Okay, we're at 0, nothing's happening. Okay, let's weigh out the 20 grams, make sure we're at 20 grams. You know, if we have some weird stuff, oh, it says 19.6. Oh my goodness. Look, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Okay, we're in between 19.6 and 19.7. It's a couple more beans. I don't know, guys. The laws of physics again. 19.9. Okay, 20 grams. Okay, we're in between 20 and 20.1. So let's see what we get from the duo. But what is going on here? Okay. Okay, we're at 20.1. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Let's grind this. So we are at setting again, 35. You know, when I put the beans into the duo, they just go all the way in. You can't even see them. So what's the point? Again, the duo, let me bring you guys in a little closer. Okay, from this angle, you guys should be able to see a little bit better. But yeah, on the duo, when you drop in the beans, they just go all the way in. You can barely see them there. And as soon as I start grinding, they're gonna disappear. You won't be able to see anything. But there you get a last look at them. And the duo continues to be quite a bit messier than the 0. And you guys will see. Let's grind this. Okay, now it is fast. Well, today it made me look bad because there's no mess. There's a couple flakes, but that's nothing. I mean, usually it's a lot messier than that. Okay, let's tap the little spout and see if we have our 20.1 it was. Let's see. Well, exactly, no retention, nothing happened. So perfect. We started kind of weird, but we got it done. Let's do our pour over. All right, so this is the Steadfast brewer. I love this little brewer. I would say it's my most consistent brewer. I would also say that it's the slowest brewer that I have. If you have a lighter coffee and you want to get a lot of sweetness out, you know, I think this is maybe the way to go. You will sacrifice a bit on the brightness and acidity. If you want to bring that up, then use a faster brewer or a coarser grind size, experiment with water temperature and all that good stuff. But that being said, I have a full review as to this little brewer. I've used it many times here on the channel. I've talked about it a whole bunch. I love it. You use the Kalita 102 filters with it. You can order these from Amazon, I believe. And yeah, so let's go ahead. So water at 97, we're gonna shoot for somewhere around 4-minute brew time. The grind size on the duo was at 35. And I think that gives you guys basically all the parameters here. So let's go ahead and get this everything warmed up and then we'll start our brew. Okay, we start by folding the filter. Now, I really don't care too much about rinsing filters. That's not, you know, that much of a thing for me. But what I do care is that the filter sticks to the walls of the brewer, because that way the brewer can do its job. If it's kind of just loose and hanging in there, it's not ideal. It's not what you want, because then the brewer cannot control what is supposed to happen, okay, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's start warming everything up. Okay, so after I do that, what I like to do is get the hot water from the carafe, put it in my glass so that the glass can start getting warm. Now, when you do this process, guys, don't forget to get the water out of here. If not, your ratio would be completely off. It's happened to me a couple times. I'm sure to most people that do pour overs, eventually you're gonna run into that. But now the water will heat up the glass and everything will be nice and warm. Okay, then we're gonna fluff up the grounds. There's quite a bit of chaff in this coffee. Chaff is like that blonde looking kind of flakes that come off the beans. Okay, listen. Okay, now I got the aroma. Wow, you see, this is like when you have like a clean coffee. Again, there's most farms nowadays are doing a small amount of fermentation just so that the mucilage loosens up and it's easier to wash the coffee. It saves on water, it saves on time, and it's just a win-win, okay? But when you do that kind of short fermentation, it doesn't affect the flavor, especially if you don't add a bunch of stuff. Then that becomes a co-ferment, okay? And co-ferments will change what's going on a whole bunch. But doing that short period fermentation just to loosen up the mucilage and be able to wash the beans easier doesn't really affect the flavor of the coffee itself too much. And it's like I said, I think it's a win-win when they do that. So, okay, let's get this in there. Now I'm not gonna talk a whole bunch about my pouring structure and everything that's going on, just for the sake of this video, not to turn into a really long thing here. But basically, it's the first 100 grams, you start 50 grams circle, and then you go right into 50 grams center, and you give it a little small swirl, and that kind of gets everything saturated and gets the extraction going, okay? So that usually I wait around 45 seconds, and I'll do 50 grams circle, 50 grams center, 50 grams circle after that until you have your 300 grams. So 20 grams in, 300 grams out, a 1:15 ratio, and again, we're shooting for around 4 minutes. So basically, that's what I'm gonna be doing here. Okay, start the scale again and start the time. And here we go. Okay, start circle until we get to 50. And then go right into center pour for another 50. Get it to 100. Small swirl. You get everything saturated and your extraction begins. Every 30 seconds you should be pouring, but since my first pour is 100 grams, I give it around 45 seconds. So here we go. Now we go into 50 gram circle. So that brings us up to about 150. And at about 1 minute and 15, 1 minute and 20 seconds, depending on how fast it's flowing, we go with the next pour. Okay, so it's going pretty fast. We're at 115. Now 50 gram center. Okay, 201. I'm not gonna swirl or anything, any kind of other agitation until the end. At about 145, somewhere around there, we'll go ahead with another circle pour. Okay, I went a little over. I'm at 256 and at 2 minutes. I think it's brewing faster than what I was hoping to see here. I'm gonna give it another small swirl, slow it down a little bit. Again, we're shooting for 4 minutes. Let me show you guys what it looks like. I love to see the steam coming out, and look at the beautiful color, the smell. Okay, that slowed me down a little bit, but we're okay. We're okay because it still has plenty of water in here, and I'm gonna do my last 50 grams. Okay, Okay, it went a little over. I'm at 302. I can turn off the kettle now. One last little swirl to kind of flatten things out. And we'll see if we can get another minute out of it. I believe we will get more than a minute out of it now. Wow, the aroma is just wonderful. Nice, clean, very fruity-like. Wow, this coffee has just a great, specialty kind of coffee scent because it's not roasty. It's floral, it's fruity. Oh, I couldn't wait to receive this. We'll see when we get the say one. We'll compare. Okay, I'm at 4 minutes, and there's still some water in there, so we're definitely gonna go over the 4 minutes. Again, next time maybe I do no agitation. I thought I had to slow it down. Oh, and again, it depends on the flavor. Maybe it's great. Maybe I want to do it exactly the same again. Okay, at 4.5 minutes exactly, I was able to see the top of the bed, and now it's just barely dripping. We'll call it, let me give it a few more drips here. Yeah, it's completely dry on top now. I'm calling it at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. So, depending on flavor, I might want to speed it up a bit, or who knows, maybe even slow it down more. But okay, 4 minutes, 50 seconds. I'm gonna take a picture of it so you guys could see what the bed ended up looking like. It looks very nice. And then we'll try it and I'll guess at the tasting notes. All right, let's try this coffee and see what it has in store for us. Hopefully you guys brewed something tasty to go along with me here. But man, I was missing having a light roast around. And I'm glad to have it. Yeah, definitely clean, just very clean. And the aroma. A hint of, I would say citrus, fruity citrusness, if that's a word. Okay, let's taste it. Okay, yeah, I'm still gonna stick with that. It does have like a sweet citrus, okay? It's definitely not like grapefruit. It's sweet citrus. Like one of those that we've had before, like tangerine, something like that. Delicate in flavor, definitely light roast qualities. It's not, there's absolutely no kind of roastiness or none of that like caramel, none of that stuff. This is just like fruitier notes, like tea-like qualities. I'm gonna say, yeah, like some kind of sweet citrus. The acidity is not high at all. As a matter of fact, if you want to bring out more acidity, again, go to a faster brewer or just use a coarser grind. I'm not sure though if that's what I would do, but okay, when it comes to dialing in pour over, this is what I would tell you guys. Now that I have like a standard kind of base point, I will push it to both ends. Okay, I'm gonna grind it perhaps like at least 10 notches lower than I was at now. I think I was at 35, I believe. So I would take it to like all the way to like 25 and just go for like a really long extraction. Push it to like close to 5 minutes, okay? Really hot water, try to get more out of it and see what happens. Sometimes it might become like dull, like, it just didn't work, So if that happens, then take it to the other extreme. Instead of like at 35, I will go all the way to maybe like 50, which is kind of like as coarse as I've been going on the Duo. So at 50 and go for like a really fast extraction, maybe I'll go to the April brewer. And with the April brewer at 50, well, it's gonna be like a maybe 2.5 minute brew. And see what that gives me. For sure, the acidity brightness is gonna come up, but you'll give up on some of the sweetness. It might work, it might not work, but now you have like a base point and you have the two ends of the whole thing, right? You went really fine, really coarse, and what did that do? And then you fine tune from there. So I think to like really dial in a pour over, you're gonna need to brew it at least like 3 times. One with kind of like your standard kind of way that what works for most coffees, which is what I just did, and then push it to both extremes and see which one of the two extremes is closer to what you're looking for, and then work it from there, you know. So, but right now it's perfectly tasty. It's not very exciting. Remember the one from Square Mile? Something like that. Nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly clean coffee. As a matter of fact, for Off With Their Heads, oh, he told me, you know, Off With Their Heads left me a comment saying that he got the whole Off With Their Heads from Alice in Wonderland. You know, I should have gotten that. I should have been able to get that. But yeah, thank you for the insight. Yeah, definitely, to me it's citrusy, at least right now. So I would say citrusy, but definitely a sweet citrus, like a tangerine, orange, some kind of orange. But it's sweet, it has sweetness. Do I detect like a honey or like a sugar note? Let me see. You know, if anything, I would go with the honey. It's possible that they put something like that. Definitely not the sugar note, but I would go with the honey. Again, there's no caramel or none of those like traditional flavors in here. There's no like woodiness or like more like I remember the one from Beanstalk, which is a coffee that Carrie suggested for me. It was very lightly roasted, but it had kind of like that woodiness, kind of maybe like an herbal tea, but with a lot of like that kind of green like woodiness to it. And this one does not have that at all. This is just straight up like fruitier, to me citrusy, perhaps maybe honey, but not the sugar note, no caramel, none of that kind of stuff. Wonderful, maybe even like floral quality on the aroma. I love like the acidity in it. Wow, I was missing that. You know, today, one of the main, because you know, like I said, I woke up not feeling 100%. So I was like, you know, I didn't know if I wanted to record, but I know I was having a brew session regardless. But I didn't know if I was gonna like be up for like talking and getting into everything that I want to get into. So I'm glad I did. I'm feeling a lot better after that Advil and after this coffee. I can feel it coming in now. And man, I miss having a light roast around. I hadn't had a light roast coffee for, I would say, like at least a week and a half. And man, I see what the hype is all about. Yeah, wonderful. Is it worth like, freezing it, and is it memorable? Not really. It's kind of like, it's a great coffee. Like the Square Mile, just not very exciting. It will definitely not beat some of the other coffees that I have in there that are just an extra level of goodness. So no, but I'll report back. Maybe, you know, with the Good Brothers Peach, I got it all wrong. That coffee does give you something kind of special, but you have to get that really good extraction. You have to grind it fine. You have to brew it really hot, which is kind of counterintuitive to what I was expecting from a co-ferment. So, but whatever, that's what worked for me. So, all right, let me read the tasting notes and see where I'm at this time. Okay, which one? We brewed the Ethiopia. Yeah, this one. I'll put the label here on the screen so that you guys could read it. All right, let me make a clarification here. As we all know, Ethiopia is a country in the African continent. Dukamo is a coffee-producing region of Ethiopia, and Rumudamo is a specific coffee farm. Ethiopia, Dukamo, Rumudamo. Okay, I don't know if I said that, or is it an R? Sometimes the font that Good Brother uses is hard to like say if the letters are what they are. I wish they would. Come on, Brent, change the font, man. Give me something I could easily read. Okay, what does it have? Floral. Okay, well, I did say maybe perhaps in the aroma a little bit of a floral quality. Pink bubblegum. I don't have that at all. And syrupy. I mean, syrupy to me is more of like a mouthfeel kind of thing than definitely not like maple. So I don't know what kind of syrup. Hey, you can make syrups with anything. So I don't know. I think syrupy is more talking about like the mouthfeel of it. So yeah, no, I didn't do well at all this time. To me, it was more citrusy. I imagine pink bubblegum. That's like the pink bubblegum, it's like that big chunk, hubba, bubba, whatever those things are called. And they're like, and that reminds me of something else now that I talk about that. And this is in regards to Jones coffee, the last one, the purple fruits. Joan, you said to Joan, the coffee was more like a grape Fanta. Okay, to me, it was Jolly Rancher because of the acidity. But I could see where he's coming from, because remember how I said that the grape is great, but it's not like natural like grapes from a tree. This is like that artificial grape flavor. Okay, that might not sound appealing to you, but there's nothing wrong with like artificial flavors, because I'm sure you've had like strawberry, like artificially flavored. That's why the Hubba Bubba thing kind of reminded me of talking about this, because of the artificial kind of flavor, but it's still great. Who doesn't like it? But yeah, that coffee, the grape flavor was like an artificial grape flavor. Okay, that's why I kept going to like the grape candy, because it's not really like real grapes. It was like that grape candy. And to him, it was grape Fanta. So we were right there seeing pretty much the same thing. So again, Joan, thank you for that coffee. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna enjoy this as well. Very clean, perfectly suited for Off With Their Heads, our friend from Alice in Wonderland. Oh boy. Okay, now let me try to talk a little bit about, or maybe I should finish it. I don't want it to get cold. I'm gonna pause the camera here, finish the coffee, and then come back to talk about the things that I kind of wanted to get into in regards to the conversation I was having with Ollie and some of the things that he wanted to talk about. It's very interesting, and I'm gonna get to that in just a second. All right, so I really enjoyed that pour over, and that's done with. And I have decided, I gave it some thought. I have decided to split the video and kind of end our conversation after. I'm gonna address one thing before I go, and then the rest I'll answer on next week's video. So everything that Ollie wanted to know about pressures and how he doesn't get pressure unless he opens the paddle all the way up, and his machine, his coffee always tasting somewhat or very bitter if he pulls like long shots like I do, 50 seconds, 60 seconds. We're gonna talk about all of that stuff. Why is the coffee getting bitter? Why he's not building pressure? All these kind of questions are all espresso related, and we're gonna do espresso next week. I'm gonna record all of it right now. I'm gonna keep recording. So next week's video, I'm gonna record right now after I finish this one. That's why I have all the setup, everything's still going. I'm gonna do a shot of espresso, and but you guys will see all of that next week. Now, the last thing I wanna address was a comment that Ali wanted me to clear up as to, I was talking about when you first start tasting espresso and you wanna get like better at identifying the flavors and tasting the espresso. So I said that in the beginning, the first thing you start to recognize is whether the coffee has acidity or it doesn't. whether the coffee has sweetness or it doesn't, or whether the coffee has bitterness or it doesn't, right? So those are the main three kind of things. Now, he said, did I mean, because I said it's hard to recognize or separate the acidity from sourness, okay? He said, did you mean acidity from bitterness? No, I think that you kind of get the hang of that pretty quickly. But acidity and sourness is kind of the same thing. Now, the thing is that sourness is something you don't want. Acidity is something that you do want, although they're both the same thing. So sourness is just too much acidity. Too much acidity is sour, okay? Just a touch of acidity, and finding where that is an acceptable amount for you, that's different for everyone. And it took me a little while to kind of like identify where the acidity is okay and when is it just sour. Okay, so that is it's kind of like a little bit trickier, and that's what I meant. Okay, so the sourness and acidity, yes, they're like the same thing, but the sourness is just too much acidity, okay? And you do want some acidity, or maybe you don't. Like maybe some people don't want acidity, but for the most part, especially if you're drinking the lighter roast coffees, you're doing it to get that kind of, you're doing it to get the acidity and that brightness and that kind of like fruitiness to it. So the acidity is something that we're searching for, or you're looking for, but too much of it is sourness, okay? So you don't want that. And finding out where the line is between just sour or just an acceptable amount of acidity, even if it's still quite high, but it's acceptable for you, that's the trickier part, okay? To me, I've told you guys that my favorite espresso shots are we kind of like the more traditional kind of flavor profile, so a little bit more developed roast, but that the coffee still has a little bit of acidity up front. When you first taste it, you get a little bit of acidity and fruitiness to it, and then it goes into those other more traditional flavors of caramel, like the burnt sugar, molasses flavors, dark chocolate, those kind of flavors. I love that. If it has those flavors but without any kind of acidity, you just can't get any acidity out of it. To me, it's kind of like a bit boring. It's like a soda that's flat. It doesn't have the CO2. It doesn't have the gas, that pop, that nice kind of, it's just like a flat soda, kind of, So the fact that it has the bubbles, it kind of elevates it to like another level and makes it a lot more wonderful. And that's what the acidity, the upfront acidity does for me in espresso. Now, when you do lighter roast coffees, the lighter you go, you're going to start losing, or you're going to lose entirely those other tasty notes like the caramel, burnt sugar, all that stuff is like pretty much going to go away. And you're just going to get more like, again, sourness and acidity. So you have to brew it longer to kind of get rid of some of that sourness and push it into where maybe it's high acidity, but it's still acceptable. So finding that fine line, that's where, it takes a little bit of practice and it's a little bit harder. And then after that, and we're talking still about tasting espresso. Okay, after that, you'll start to identify whether the upfront acidity has more to do with like citrus or more with fruitier kind of notes. That is a little bit tougher, but you could, the more you practice, the more you'll start finding whether, this is more citrusy to me, or this is fruitier. It's more like, there is a tartness, but it's more like berries like. It's not so much like a citrus, like a grapefruit, like an orange, or those kind of fruits. So also, when it comes to the sweetness in the coffee, you can kind of, and again, all of these things are very particular to the person doing the tasting. It's going to be different for everyone. And at the end of the day, these are very subtle kind of things that you search for. But again, you can start finding these things the more you practice. So when it comes to sweetness, you might start to identify whether it's more like honey or more like sugar. Is it more like that burnt sugar? Is it more like that caramel, or more like salted caramel? And all these kind of things, you can kind of find that. So with some practice. So I think hopefully that clears up a little bit about what I was talking about tasting espresso. And again, that all these conversations happened on that Friday video, and you guys will have to look through the videos. That already happened a few weeks ago for you guys. For me, it was just this past Friday. The first one got posted, and that's where we had all this conversation. And on that video, I was talking about this whole thing about tasting the straight espresso shots and really getting to enjoy them, and kind of getting away from the milk drinks, which is basically all I did at first. But now I'm really getting into just trying the straight espresso. So, okay, the rest of the conversation, I'm gonna end the video right here and continue on what for you guys will be next week's video. For me, I'm just gonna keep recording right now. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys a whole bunch. Please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Come back next week for the rest of this conversation. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.